And on this Thanksgiving weekend, we come to you from Orlando, Florida, as Feast Week brings you the semifinals of the Orlando Classic. Number 11, Kansas, facing the Tennessee Volunteers, who are hunting a big upset. And the same can be said of Marquette later tonight in our second semifinal. They take on number 20, Michigan State, for the right to play in Sunday's championship game. Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us from Orlando and ESPN's Wide World of Sports. I'm Dave O'Brien. This is Sean Farnham. Sean, so far this tournament has played out pretty much exactly as we expected. The big boys, Michigan State and Kansas, have advanced pretty easily, although the Jayhawks may have a pretty stiff test here today.
And a big part of that for the Vols is Josh Richardson. I mean, sensational NCAA tournament where he averaged 19 points per game in their tournament run. But he's got to be just average today. And average for him so far this season is 18 points per game. It's exactly what he had yesterday against Santa Clara. They'll need him to look to be aggressive, not just from the perimeter, but being able to attack and get to this mid-range jump shot rather than going all the way to the rim. Meanwhile, for the Kansas Jayhawks, they dialed it up from the outside. They had 8 made three-pointers, and they're going to need that again today because Tennessee is going to play a matchup zone, a zone that they haven't faced so far in this young college basketball season. They're going to try to bring the double team down low, and Donnie Tyndall told me before today's game, the Jayhawks, if they make 10 three-pointers, he can live with that, but he doesn't want them beating them up in the paint.
The Tennessee starting lineup now, along with Richardson, the Vols get scoring from both Armani Moore and Kevin Punter. McGee and Carmichael, both freshmen, but both very talented. For Kansas, Mason, Selden, and Ellis all went for double figures against Rhode Island yesterday. The Jayhawks have a bunch of gifted freshmen themselves, among them 6'8" Cliff Alexander coming off the bench. He could be a very special player. Look for him to get serious minutes today for Bill Self.
And it's going to be really intriguing, I think. A little bit undersized, obviously, when you look at Tennessee in this game. But how they can communicate at the defensive end of the floor and try to double the post entry passes of Kansas, forcing them to make shots from the outside. Can Kansas hit the shot as consistently as they did yesterday?
Well, the Jayhawks will have their first crack at it in the home white uniforms here today in Orlando. Ellis on a low block, kicks it back out. Mason gets a good look and a quick start. Is one of those long ones you were talking about.
And what you notice there too is Tennessee didn't even close out to the shooter in that instance. Because the ball got into the interior, it broke down their defense. It was going to force a long run out. They didn't want to vacate and give up an offensive rebound.
Is Moore up top, coming up a really nice game as he has that one deflected. Great save on the baseline there by Lucas as he tiptoed that line. Now Kansas with a very impressive shooting display against Rhode Island yesterday. They hit 47% of their threes. Ellis. That one off the iron, but a whistle underneath and a foul here against Tennessee. 1 minute in. Bill Self was pretty happy with his team's performance yesterday. That foul will go against Armani Moore. It should be. Overall, they shot the ball way better than they did against Kentucky. I guess that was to be presumed.
Well, and not only the way they shot the ball, but the way they shared the basketball, too. That's what really impressed me, especially in the first half. 10 assists in the first half for Kansas. And they need to be able to share the ball, and they've done a good job on their opening possession.
Mason over the top, and that one clanged away. That was intended for Wayne Selden. On the move, Armani Moore into the paint before the shot. He draws the foul. Blocking foul here against Kansas. And Donnie Tyndall, we talked about the embattled head coach at Tennessee, under investigation right now by the NCAA for his previous job at Southern Miss. And yet his team played pretty focused yesterday, knocking off Santa Clara. Final there was 64-57. Mason to push the tempo. Mikhailiuk up top for Lucas. Well, you're right, yesterday Kansas so impressive, sharing the ball, finding the open man, finding the free shooter, and then they drained their shots. Ellis on a nifty spin for 2.
You know, but you got to credit Lucas for setting an unbelievable screen underneath, freeing up Ellis and creating that space against the zone. It was good patience in the half-court set that time by Kansas, but even a better job by setting the baseline screen for Lucas to open up his teammate.
Ellis silky smooth at 17 yesterday. And Kansas off to a nice quick start, 5-zip over Tennessee. Richardson calling for a play now. He had 18 against Santa Clara. His jump shot is on target.
And that's exactly what I mentioned in the open. That's where he needs to get to on the floor. At 6'6", he can elevate up over the top of the smaller Kansas guards.
Very good player and a very good piano player as well. Over the top. Oh, nicely done there. Lucas stopped the fingertips off the alley-oop. Landon Lucas at 6'10". He's a sophomore, so a lot of really good young players who get a chance to play together for Bill Self. Here's McGee. Moore on the wing. Dishes underneath, back to McGee, and a foul, and it spins in as well. A lot of English on that shot as it rolled in. Just underway at the Orlando Classic. Foul there will go against Perry Ellis, number 1.
Well, I love what Jabari McGee brings to the table. We saw it yesterday. He's got an outstanding motor. He can make plays and energize his teammates, and they were struggling a little bit in the early stages of this game offensively. You know, besides Richardson driving the hoop, the other couple possessions they have not been outstanding, but that was great screen and roll, and then aggressively attacking the size of Kansas.
No three-point play, however. So Kansas with a 7-4 lead. Entry pass for Ellis, one dribble down, and draws the foul. Before the shot, 17:09 to go here in the first half. Kansas coming in at 3-1. Tennessee at 2-1. McGee will pick up the foul.
Well, Willie Carmichael, first of all, has to work better at the defensive end of the floor. And second of all, he's got to keep his mouth shut. He is very verbal. I think Donnie Tyndall saw it and is taking him out. He's lucky he didn't get a technical right there, getting in the face of Lucas. The young freshman has to be smarter than that. Now, he's a very talented player for Tennessee and is going to play an important role in today's game if they have a chance to get a win. You can't take yourself out of a game mentally less than 3 minutes in.
He's one of Tennessee's 4 true freshmen. Selden badly off target on that shot. Second effort, though. Mason thought about it. In the corner now, the jumper by Ellis won't fall.
Now that's a good defensive possession for Tennessee. 2 contested three-point shots. Both of them missed. Finally, you're able to get the rebound.
Well, that's a tough angle by Kevin Punter. Good athletic play for the junior from the Bronx to knock in 2. And now Tennessee tightens it up very quickly. Little backcourt pressure here on Selden. Trying to get it across over the top for Mason. Alley-oop. Ellis went for it and a foul on the play. And that'll go against Josh Richardson, trying to guard that baseline to prevent that alley-oop.
What a great recovery, though, by Richardson to try to get up and meet him in the air.
The one thing that both coaches talked about, athletically, Tennessee has guys who can hang with Kansas. Whether or not that'll be for 40 minutes remains to be seen.
I think Woodson underneath, he provides a great deal of size to transfer.
Ellis went for it again. He and Mason trying to hook up for another one, but not there, and it's out of play back to Tennessee.
I think forcing it a little bit for Kansas right now, especially Mason. That's twice now he's gone for the alley-oop, and it hasn't been there either time.
Kansas 3 out of 7. Tennessee 3 for 5. Here's Armani Moore, the junior from Kennesaw, Georgia. Punter. He's a double-figure scorer. Tried to dish underneath, and it's batted away, and they'll keep it with 16:03 to go in the first half.
For Tennessee, the key is to make the simple play. Don't try to force the basketball. You're not going to dominate the paint in this game by entering it down low to the block. You can score in the paint by getting good ball reversal and then attacking off the wing.
Here's Derek Reese, a junior. One of only 4 returning scholarship players for Tennessee this season. Richardson wants to penetrate. Shot clock down to 2. Can't hit it. Selden there for a tough rebound. Jayhawks coming off a 16-point victory over Rhode Island, 76-60. Lucas outfights everybody for the rebound. Nothing but orange shirts around him. Mason to penetrate. Here's the kick for Ellis. Got it. Three-pointer on target. So keeping track of those threes that Donnie Tyndall told you are going to be so vital today, they could make the difference in a Kansas victory. And they've hit 2 of them so far, leading 10-6. Power his way in, and that's an offensive foul.
That's a textbook call. You can't initiate the contact and just try to bully your way down low on the block. The Kansas Jayhawks got it going from the outside, and they're up by 4 early here in the
basketball is brought to you by Gildan. We make your favorite activewear, underwear, and socks. At Gildan, every thread counts. And your next truck, Ford F-150.
Kansas up by 4 minutes plus into the game now. And that last possession for Tennessee, and as we went to break, I was saying how it's the correct call. Watch on the entry pass here. Who's initiating the contact? Now, the defender has the right to maintain their position, and you get one bump. The second one, you see the shoulder dipping into the chest. That is an outstanding textbook call, and in fact, when John Adams, the head of NCAA officiating, met with all of us at ESPN, that was as clear-cut as a video that he showed us of that exact type of play. So an excellent call.
May not be the first time you see that from the sophomore Dominique Woodson, because he's 6'10", 280, and he's down about 25 pounds. When he transferred from Memphis, he weighed in at over 300, about 302. So he's in better shape. Still has a few things to pick up on, though. Mason will run the offense now for Bill Self. Kansas coming in ranked number 11. Ellis with an airborne pass. Mason around the screen. Here's Selden, all Big 12 honorable mention last year. He gets it back on the wing. Ellis is the open man. And it will rattle out. It almost caught enough of the iron to stay down.
Kansas is being very patient, but very aggressive with the way that they're working the ball and working the defense right now. That was a good high percentage shot.
Richardson here with the ball, coming up 18 against Santa Clara. He's approaching 1,000 career points. He's had a very good career, now a senior at Tennessee. Really fine player. Woodson again, trying to back his way in. A little more cautiously this time, but he misfired. They'll get the second. Everett Richardson three, won't fall. Lucas had the rebound handled, and they foul him with 14:05 to go here in the first half. Atlantis bracket now. Today's game's on ESPN. This has been some tournament already. The third place game coming up next. That'll be Butler and Georgetown, which nearly knocked off Wisconsin, the number 2 team in the land, yesterday. But it'll be the Badgers and Oklahoma in the championship game at 4 today.
Well, and it's just been a great tournament down there. Didn't go necessarily the way our tournament bracket has gone, with the heavyweights taking some losses early in that tournament, being on the consolation side of things. But one of the things that stood out so far, we've talked about a lot on ESPN across the platforms over the course of Feast Week, is how strong the Big East has played. And we'll see one of those Big East teams later on tonight. Marquette trying to pull off an upset against Michigan State. Matt Carlino with 38 points last night.
Oh, he was magnificent. Alexander's on the line. Cliff Alexander, the gifted freshman, with the second turnover for Kansas. Carlino is just unbelievable. 38, couldn't miss in that first half. He was absolute money. He shoots the ball like that against Michigan State. That could be a far different game than we anticipated. Corner jumper won't drop by Mostella. And here come the Jayhawks. The kick out picked off by Richardson with a quick hands.
He's so good defensively.
Mason went for the theft. He interrupted that. Picked up by Selden. Frank Mason on the run. Nicely done with the reverse.
An excellent job having awareness of the 6'6", extremely athletic Josh Richardson is coming from behind. He reverses to the opposite side of the glass, unable to get there in time, and he's able to finish it.
Reese thought about the three. Back to Richardson. So much will run through Richardson, number 1 for Tennessee today. Woodson again in the block and the foul right there in the lane. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Turning the turnover into offense. A nice job by Selden to throw ahead. And Mason understands that Richardson is coming, and watch, it's a quick glance. He knows exactly where he's at. Richardson goes strong side, Mason goes weak side, and he gets 2.
Jamari Traylor with the personal, number 1 on Jamari. Woodson to the line. He missed the Texas Southern game last week because of a left hand injury, and he's still wearing a wrap on that hand, and he airmailed that first foul shot.
And I understand the concept of wanting to get the ball down low and maybe get the interior presence in foul trouble. But Woodson isn't going to win that battle, and Woodson isn't a prolific scorer, as we saw at the free throw line. He's not comfortable here. He's been a little bit comfortable and, again, been pushed off the block. He hasn't had deep post position yet. I think you're better off elevating Woodson, setting on-ball screens, and allowing your perimeter players to turn and attack.
He's going to come out. The foul shot broke a 4-minute scoring drought for Tennessee. There's Brandon Green, 6'7" sophomore. He's a guy who can really shoot it if they're going to leave him open. Trailer. Great dish there for Alexander. Once again, you see Kansas move the ball so well. And a timeout, Tennessee. Now the Jayhawks have opened up a 14-7 lead, and they've done it with unselfish play. This is their largest lead so far today.
Half-court set. Watch as the ball gets entered into the middle of the paint. What you're going to see is Willie Carmichael is going to step up and have to go to Trailer. And when that happens, you've got a wide-open man on the back line. That's Cliff Alexander. You feed him the ball. He's able to finish up at the iron. A nice job of working in the half-court set and breaking down the back line of the defense of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Alexander, the 2014 McDonald's All-American. Devontae Graham will pick up his first personal. As Graham, another outstanding freshman, gets into the fray for Bill Self. He has some youngsters who can really play. Here's Robert Hubbs, 6'5" sophomore. Dribbling hard into the lane. Corner jumper, and yes, a three-pointer by Mostella. Dietrich Mostella, this is a guy that Bill Self talked about before the game. He said, watch for that guy to really begin to flourish. He likes him a lot.
Well, and a great setup by Willie Carmichael, who has come back into the game after having the mental lapse early. He creates the opportunity for the open shot.
Green stepping into a long three, but didn't look good coming off his hand, and did not finish well. Hubbs to attack into the lane. Nothing there. Here's Reese from the wing. Yes, a three-pointer. So here comes Tennessee as they have cut into the lead very quickly and suddenly down just one.
Sign of a good coach is how your team reacts out of a timeout. Donnie Tyndall was not happy with the defense. They have fixed that on the first two possessions.
Here's Oubre, and well short. 6'7" freshman. Graham can't hit. Another effort now for Kansas. Relentless on the offensive glass. In the lane, Trailer, and a tough shot. He draws the foul. We have a timeout. He'll be at the line when we come back.
Kansas was up 14-7, but back-to-back possessions. You drive in, the defense gets sucked in, long run out, get a high percentage open look from beyond the arc. Twice they've been able to attack and pitch for three, and now it's a one-point game. I might suggest to them that the College Cup should come here to the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex.
I think it's a perfect idea. I mean, the weather is going to be spectacular. The fields are incredible here, and it's a great location.
They can have fun. They can go to the park. Yep. They can really make it big.
I'm just glad you're working on behalf of the NCAA as well as ESPN.
Well, you know, there are several college basketball analysts that sometimes make comments about the NCAA, and I'm just giving my suggestion to them.
You're very helpful, as always. Trailer at the line. The foul went against Mostella before the commercial break, and that one rattles out. So Kansas by 2, but here's the Tennessee we expect to see. Green got a hand on it. They're going to call that a jump. Possession arrow will keep it on this end for Tennessee.
That's a great throw ahead, though, by Richardson, and that's how Tennessee has to play. If they try to play in the half court, they're not going to have a lot of success. But when they're aggressive, they're attacking. We've seen that lead to successful possessions.
Brandon Green did an outstanding defensive play to keep a basket from happening there. There's a three-pointer made and the foul as well. It's Mostella again. That's the guy Bill Self was talking about. Oubre committed the foul.
You know the scouting report, he had 17 points in his debut. The best total was the first person to get that total since Allen Houston did it last in 89 and Ron Slay in 99. But what a nice job by Mostella coming off the screen. Execution on the out of bounds underneath. If you can get about 8 points per game on out of bounds underneath, you're winning that battle. And they have the opportunity to get 4 on this one possession.
Well, this is the first time that Kansas has trailed in the tournament. And now they're down by 2, 17-15. Graham looking inside. Green finding Traylor in the lane. A one-hander won't fall. Tough rebound and a foul against Tennessee. Trying to contain Cliff Alexander with 10:26 to go.
Well, if you're fortunate enough to have Kansas miss the first, if you're Tennessee, you have to rebound the basketball and not allow them a second chance opportunity, because at the very least, they're going to earn themselves a trip to the free throw line.
That foul went against the junior Armani Moore. Kansas is about to send in a whole fresh unit. So this is pretty amazing. Bill Self is not happy. That's pretty evident by the mass substitution as Alexander is at the line again.
The breakdown at the defensive end of the floor is, I'm sure, what has gotten under the skin of Bill Self.
Alexander smooth at the line, and now Landon Lucas will join the others who just entered the contest, tied at 17. Bill Self is steaming on his bench. Hunter against Mason, both wearing 0. Backing away Hubbs now. On the attack, and that's going to be a traveling violation on Armani Moore. Are you a little surprised Moore didn't come out after a second foul?
I am, but he's so important to what they're trying to do offensively. That is exactly what Coach Tindall wanted to see out of him, but he's got to go up and immediately shoot that shot with nice soft touch, high arcing over the top of the defense. He has that ability. Instead, he hesitated, and the hesitation was what created the travel.
Right, under 10 minutes to go before halftime. The interior pass and foul by Tennessee. Trying to get Lucas free underneath.
Unfortunate that one didn't go against Moore, because it would have been his third personal. Instead, it goes against Willie Carmichael underneath.
His first. So it'll be Lucas to the line. The 6'10 sophomore from Portland, Oregon. Former red shirt. Did play in a lot of games last year, 22 games for Kansas.
I saw him play a lot in high school on the AAU circuit, and I loved his length. I loved his ability to finish around the basket. You know, at times in the prep level, he'd almost become disinterested, but I think because things were so easy for him to score, I think he's really blossomed in Kansas and had a great summer and put himself in position to have a really strong season for the Jayhawks.
It puts Kansas back in front by 1. Kansas not quite shooting it against Tennessee the way they did yesterday against Rhode Island in the first half.
Yeah, that could have been a 5-second call, but nobody was counting. That was good defense by Mason.
Reese backing down Ellis. Denied. Shot clock at 12. Tight defense here for Kansas. Hunter launches. Yes, he banked it in. That was a 2-pointer. I don't think intentionally, but he backed it in.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky. And that was a luck possession, but you take it if you're Tennessee. Not a high percentage look at all, and the offense was very stagnant.
Selden with a bounce for Mason. Over the shoulder here. Mikhailuk will back it out. Shot clock now inside 10 for the Jayhawks. Ellis to the baseline around Carmichael. No basket. Foul before that shot with 8:45 to go. Foul will go against Carmichael. He picks up 2 quick personals. And it'll be Perry Ellis to the line. The smooth junior out of Wichita, Kansas.
That was pretty good defense in the half court by Tennessee. They were keeping Kansas at bay, and then a late breakdown on the back line allowed the angle for Perry Ellis.
Ellis, good foul shooter. Nice touch there for number 1. Parents are here watching. If you're going to come to Orlando when it's sunny and pretty warm, tomorrow's going to be in the 70s. You might as well watch your son play for Kansas at the same time. It's a pretty good weekend.
It's a good trip. A lot of parents making the trip. We saw a couple of them last night back at the hotel. Wanted to talk about their kids and what we saw and how we felt like they played throughout the course of the day.
Wonderful fans for Kansas. Great support. They travel so well. Reese will launch a 3. Picked up by Selden. Kansas with a 1-point lead over Tennessee. We figured this had a chance to be a sticky one for the Jayhawks as they try and play their way into tomorrow's championship game. Later on, we'll see Marquette and Michigan State in the second semifinal. That's at 9 o'clock tonight. Dick Vitale will be in for that one. Give you a look at the bracket now. Marquette with a wonderful win yesterday, so taking on Michigan State. The Spartans cruised. Championship game at 1 o'clock on ESPN.
Balanced approach for Michigan State. Denzel Valentine, though, paced him with 19. They were in control from the outset of that game against Rider. At times, though, Marquette has struggled to score. Clearly not the case last night when one player alone gets 38.
Mason, great look, but too strong. And Lucas will be hit with a foul over the back. Trying to pluck that rebound away from Woodson. So we'll take a timeout with 7:59 to go in the first half on a gorgeous day here in sunny Orlando, Florida. Our semifinal of the Orlando Classic, all part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Kansas clinging to the 1-point lead over the Tennessee Volunteers.
Really good execution thus far for Tennessee. I think if you're Coach Tyndall and you said, okay, at the 8-minute mark in the first half, you're going to be trailing Kansas by 1, I think you feel really good. I think if you're Bill Self, you're a little upset with some of your defensive breakdowns, allowing the 4-point play on the out-of-bounds underneath, not necessarily finishing off defensive possessions, playing all the way through.
In Kansas, when they had the 14-7 lead, Tennessee had the timeout, and then all of a sudden the game was virtually tied. It was almost as if Kansas relaxed a little bit too much defensively. Here's Mikhailuk at the line, the 6'8 freshman from Ukraine. Sviatoslav, his teammates call him Speed. They tighten it up. That helps us too.
Yes,
he prefers that.
Makes it much easier. A great shooter, good release on his shot. He is a better shooter than the percentages would indicate at this point in time of his career. But so young, just turned 17 in June.
A knockdown shooter, though. 22-19 Kansas. Tennessee made it to the finals of the Orlando Classic back in 08. Back when it was the Old Spice Classic, and they lost to Gonzaga in that one. Woodson up against Lucas. Pretty good battle here. Pounding it into the deck, but he misfired. Mason came down the lane to grab the rebound.
I'd prefer Woodson to have at least 1 foot in the paint when you give him the ball. Not 2 feet on the outside and trying to work his way back.
Selden with a sweet 3. Had all day to shoot it.
The defense stayed collapsed. Down low underneath. Selden had space and knocked it down. He hit his first 2 yesterday and kind of cooled off. It's good to see him getting more comfortable from beyond the arc.
Bill Self says he really feels like this should be his team this year. Selden only a sophomore, but those leadership skills, Richardson can't hit. Woodson tried to keep it alive, but off him, so it'll be back over to Kansas. So a 7-0 run for the Jayhawks here over the last minute 45 seconds to open up a bit of a lead. And trying to add to that now, Frank Mason III, the sophomore guard, who was all Big 12 honorable mention last year.
Defensively doing an excellent job forcing Kansas to play on the outside so far this possession.
Lucas mishandled that, and it'll go the other way.
Yeah, you just got a sense watching them, they were a little bit too passive in the half court. They're not looking to aggressively attack. You could pass fake the zone and get it to shift ever so slightly and then look to create off the bounce. You can shot fake, try to elevate your defensive player. None of that happened that time for Kansas. They were content with passing the ball on the outside.
Not a lot of turnovers, so it's been pretty clean on both ends. Hunter doubled up, got it away to Reese. Quick pass into the lane and a foul on the play as Moore got hit. One thing about Armani Moore, he does not stand in one place very long. He is in attack mode.
He is a slashing scorer. He can be versatile enough where obviously he should be playing the small forward position. Often he finds himself playing the power forward position with a little bit of an undersized team this year for Tennessee. But an excellent job attacking and moving without the basketball to put himself in the right spot.
Landon Lucas with his first foul to put Moore at the line. He made 10 out of 12 at the line against Santa Clara. Missing on this one. Wound up with 18 points and 6 rebounds. And Moore to get another one, the 6'5" junior from Kennesaw, Georgia. He makes 1 of 2. That was his first point.
Co-captain of the team this year, and they expect him to be a leader at both ends of the floor defensively. And of course, the offensive end, they've asked him to be much more productive than he has been in the past. Only averaged 3 points per game last year.
Ellis wants to get closer. Grabs his own board. Nice.
That's where Kansas can just do a lot of damage, in particular against the zone. It's not necessarily the first shot. When they get that second shot, that's when you're really playing on your heels.
9 points for Ellis after 17 yesterday. May well top that against Tennessee with the start he's off to. Punter, yes. He'll knock down 2. The junior college transfer. He's the primary shooting guard for the Volunteers and has 6. So Tennessee hanging in there under 5.5 before the break. Alexander's open. They found him for an easy stop. He's a big target.
Great hands and a great job breaking down the defense right from the top. When it's spread out like that, you can throw it right over the top and find something easy.
You expect as the season progresses for Kansas, they'll look for him more and more often?
They have to, because I think he's an 18 and 12 type player in Big 12 play.
3-second violation here on Tennessee. And back to Cliff Alexander.
Look at Cliff Alexander pointing to the rim, gives the target, and then finishes up over the top. But as you see it come out wider, the defense is elevated. Jabari McGee runs up to Perry Ellis, and when you run up, it forces the weak side wing to try to pinch back in, and no way that Amari Moore was going to get there.
I'm not sure who was more open, Cliff Alexander, where he was, or you here at this table.
Well, you're covering me.
I try, but it takes more than one man, believe me.
No one was open last night for the San Francisco 49ers, though.
No.
The Legion of Boom brought the boom.
Yes, they sure did. Look at the shooting so far for both sides here as Kansas has opened up a 29-22 lead over Tennessee.
Oh, good defense.
Selden nearly lost it, right back to Mason. Jayhawks on the attack here, shot clock down to 12. Mason the third, back to Selden. Green's in the corner, the shooter nails it. All net on the 3. And that's the largest lead of the half for Kansas, 32-22.
Fourth made three-point shot here in the first half. Remember, Donnie Tyndall said if they can make 10 threes over the top of us today, we're going to tip our hat to them. And they're almost halfway there.
He's not tipping the cap, but he's looking for it at this point if this keeps up. Great spin move there by Moore, and he'll draw the foul. Determined to get into that lane and at least draw contact. And he did there with 4:04 to go in the half. And a foul will go against Brandon Green, number 1.
Both these teams, when they have found success, they've been able to find it in very different ways. For Tennessee, it is when they pass and aggressively look to drive. That's where they have found their success. For Kansas, it's about getting touches and sharing the basketball.
Moore hits the front end of the 1-and-1. He was recruited by Donnie Tyndall at Morehead State 3 years ago. He was already at Tennessee when Tyndall came aboard. And convinced at least some of his teammates not to transfer, not to leave the program.
He was 18 points yesterday, a career high.
Of course, Conzo Martin left for Cal. Here's Selden out of the corner. And a foul on the floor here with 3:46 to go. Tennessee really trying to contain Alexander, having a hard time doing that. McGee will pick up the foul for Tennessee, his second.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. And Burger King's 2 for $5 menu. Mix and match 2 large premium sandwiches for just $5.
March 32-23, Kansas with the lead, 3:46 to go. Here in the first half, this is our first semifinal of the day. Semifinal number 2 is at 9 o'clock tonight. That will feature Michigan State, the number 20 Spartans, taking on Marquette, who played their way into the semifinals with a terrific win last night against Georgia Tech.
You look at this game, and remember I talked about the second chance points opportunities, and it's not necessarily the first shot, but that breaks down the defense and allows Kansas to have the opportunity to utilize their length a little bit better against the zone. 9 offensive rebounds, 10 second chance points. That's the efficiency that you really want to see when you get those rebounds. You want to at least get a point per offensive rebound. That puts you in the average to slightly above average.
What to watch for tonight now as Michigan State goes in 4-1. Travis Trice, a guy who can really light it up. Alexander at the line.
They might be better offensively this year at Michigan State. Tom Izzo was talking about how pleased he's been with the offensive output of Michigan State. Defensively, though, maybe not as strong as they've been in years past. They're still growing at that end of the floor, and they could be tested tonight. You know, Marquette has struggled to score, but certainly not last night, not with Matt Carlino.
Going for 38, a tournament record.
Seth Greenberg back in studio. You know what he called Matt Carlino last year at BYU? Matty Basketball.
McGee, oh, what a tremendous spin move there to drop into Jabari McGee on the attack mode.
Don't you love the way he plays?
Do.
I mean, the last 2 days, I see a lot of promise in Jabari McGee. I think he's going to be a very good player at Tennessee for the next couple of years.
Tie up in the corner. Let's see what the call is. The officials are going to get together. Was there a timeout? And they are going to give Kansas a timeout here with 3:14 to go in the first half. So they would not turn it over. But back to Jabari McGee. That move certainly worth another look.
Watch the way he gets it, gets his eyes on the rim, peels off Cliff Alexander's body. And you know what I love about it? A lot of guys are intimidated by Cliff Alexander. He's big, he's strong, he blocked shots. Jabari McGee did not hesitate for a second. He saw him in front of him and said, you know what, I'm going to go take him and I'm going to score. And you need to play with that kind of confidence when you're playing against a team like Kansas.
That's one freshman, McGee, going after another very talented freshman in Alexander.
And McGee, the first signee for Coach Donnie Tyndall at Tennessee. And went to Hargrave Military Academy. You see his great upper body strength. I mean, he really has great shoulders on him, able to absorb contact and play through.
So Kansas to put it in from the baseline here. On top, 33-25 over Tennessee. Base in the third, and a whistle before the inbounds pass could be made. A foul against the Volunteers. Carmichael, if that's on him, that's number 3, and indeed it is. So he's gotten himself into trouble. The 6'8" freshman starter. And it'll be 2 shots here for Perry Ellis, who's had another good half. 9 points so far for Perry.
And it just quietly goes about his business. Bill Self told us the other day, I think he's got 9, maybe 10 points. All of a sudden you look up and there's an 18 on the board next to Perry Ellis's name.
Or 35 against TCU, 30 against Iowa State, which he did last year.
He can score the basketball. He does not draw a lot of attention to himself. He just goes about his business. A very workman's-like mentality for Perry Ellis. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody needs to bang their chest and pop their collar and make it about them as an individual. Perry Ellis just quietly does what he needs to do to try to help Kansas win games.
Very, very smooth 6'8" junior. So the lead back to 10 for the Jayhawks in this semifinal. And before the shot, a foul. That'll go against Brandon Green, number 2 on the sophomore. And a hold up Robert Hubbs. So it'll be Hubbs at the line, 2:57 before halftime. Tennessee will bring Josh Richardson back on, and Mostella will take a seat. Mostella's played some nice minutes.
A couple of made 3-point shots from beyond the arc. Provided some spark for Tennessee when their offense needed it.
Rebound popped up. Ellis collects that. That's his 4th. He may be on his way to a double-double today.
And Tennessee now sub 50% from the free throw line. Did a lot of things right. But that's one area you cannot afford to leave points on the board.
Not against Kansas. Cross court, Mason. Bad pass there, picked off by punter, and he goes in, and a foul. Selden fouled him. Now the officials are going to make sure nothing happens here, because when punter got up, he was not happy. And you see that Tennessee is a little agitated.
And they're going to go look at this actually on the monitor and see if there was contact made to the head. And I think more than anything in this moment, and that was a very, very physical foul.
Now remember, flagrant one is a foul deemed excessive in nature, one which is not a legitimate attempt to play the ball, illegal contact with an elbow above the opponent's shoulders, not swung excessively. The penalty on that is 2 shots and the ball.
But this is a twofold moment. One for the officials to really look at this and determine if they're going to assess anything else. The second aspect, if you take another look at it, the second aspect is this. When Kevin got off the floor, there was some jawing going on.
Yep.
This gives both players to go to the bench and have the ability to calm down ever so slightly.
Well, they are going to call it a flagrant one. I think this is the right call. So that will be what they come off the monitor with. Something else I like about this, I think they got the call right here, and they did it pretty quickly, which is a point of direction for the officials this season, not to linger over the monitor all day.
That one wasn't very difficult, though. I mean, that was not a play that...
True enough, but you and I have both sat here forever over
and seen 15 replay angles, and then for multiple minutes.
Calls we thought were pretty evident. 2 shots on the ball here, so punter at the line. Junior from the Bronx.
With the flagrant one, it also doesn't mean that the officials deemed anything that Selden was malicious in the approach to it.
Exactly.
It's that he made contact with the head, and that's why it's called. It wasn't a malicious play. It was just contact above the shoulders to the head. A great job by the crew communicating A to us, but B, as you mentioned, very quickly figuring this out. Now, this is a big moment in the game, because Tennessee kind of lost a little bit of its energy, lost a little bit of its fire. Now you get 2 free throws. You made the shot. Now you get the ball out of bounds. This is an opportunity for a huge possession.
35-29, Selden to the bench. 2:28 to go before the break. And again, Tennessee has the ball back. Richardson gets it into punter. Kansas fans thought he walked with him, so they were hollering for that call. Richardson will set it up now. McGee up for the screen. Ellis chasing him, so is Graham. They almost bottled him up. Getting free Hubbs, got the shot in the air. The dunk misfires by Reese. But they get a new shot clock and a quick 2 points.
What a big turnaround and possession to tighten things right back up.
Boy, a whole new game after the flagrant one, huh? Mason kicks it back out for Graham.
Remember, all of that play was initiated by great defense by Tennessee, and punter playing the passing lane to get the steal.
Mikhailuk gets a great look, but not there. Second effort, though, for Kansas. Tennessee scored 6 points in 30 seconds to get right back into this thing. 1:34 left. Trailer bottled up. Mikhailuk with another great look, and that one knocked down for 3. He's too good a shooter to leave him alone like that twice on consecutive possessions.
A nice job getting his feet set. No hesitation. Missed the first one, doesn't matter. Now the Kansas fans are on their feet.
And there's a lot of blue here in Orlando. Richardson on the attack. Followed his own miss. Still battling for it. Hunter can't get it. Batted away again. Now knocked out in front for Graham, and he's got an easy 2. What a frenzy these last couple of minutes.
I love the energy. Energy on the court and the energy in the building.
Reese wants the jumper straight on. In and out. Great give there from McGee. And a foul as well. And Tennessee still very much in this thing in the first half.
How much fun has this game been, and in particular in the last couple of minutes? The missed shot, the ball's loose. A tap ahead by Perry Ellis. Graham able to finish. No one around him, and then Tennessee desperately needs to get something and some more points on the board, and a nice offensive rebound by Hubbs, and McGee able to finish.
20.6 before the break. The foul went on Jamari Traylor. So it'll be Jabari McGee to the line. Just a freshman, but he does not play like a freshman.
Strong. He might say they only recruited him to come in and rebound the basketball, but he is slowly starting to carve out more of a significant role.
Can't hit the foul shot. Kansas comes away with a 7-point lead. Why does it feel tighter than that?
I think just the energy level of these two teams and how quickly that turnaround was with the flagrant one. 6 quick points changes the way you feel about a game.
Frank Mason penetrating. Alexander in close. Blocked. Woodson got a hand on it. And on timeout, Tennessee. Actually, the first half came to an end there. First half came to an end. And so it's 40-33 Kansas. Boy, those last couple of minutes, high-octane stuff here in Orlando. A 7-point lead for Kansas as we send it to Steve Weissman, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Williams on our Mazda halftime report as we look forward to the second half. Well, this has been a sizable feast back in Orlando at Disney World and ESPN's Wide World of Sports. Kansas with the 7-point lead as we get ready for the second half. Dave O'Brien and Sean Farnham with you. You like the shot selection of the Kansas Jayhawks, don't you?
I love the way they played together as a group. For the second time in this tournament, the first half has been precision offense for Kansas. In fact, they have 10 assists on their 12 made field goals, and you just watch the way they get numerous touches. They're forcing the zone to collapse and finding high percentage shots. That's what Kansas did right in the first half. When they move the ball like this, you force the back line of defense to get out of position. You get those easy looks at the iron. Meanwhile, I think when you look at Tennessee, Jabari McGee really stood out in the first half. 3 for 3 shooting from the floor, but it was the aggressiveness that we saw out of Jabari McGee that impressed me most, partner.
On the other side, though, Armani Moore only 2 points in the first half. Josh Richardson had just 4 points for Tennessee. They absolutely have to do more, or Kansas could run away with this thing in the second half.
We'll see if the energy and the passion we saw in the final couple of moments of that first half will bleed through here into the second half.
It got pretty gritty at times. Mason kicks into the corner. McCallum getting in close. That's a nice, sweet play with that lay-in for 2.
Can't play him just to be a three-point shooter. He can attack off the wing, and you just saw right there how he's able to gather himself and be on balance and finish.
So there are the men on the floor for Tennessee. Moore up top. He's coming off 18 points against Santa Clara. Pretty quiet first half, though. One of the key volunteers. Richardson at the foul line. Gets it away. Here's Moore in the lane and a foul.
Now that's the kind of spacing that you need for Tennessee. Tennessee has not been able to score off of assists, only 3 on their 12 made field goals in the first half. But Dave, where they've been best is when they spread the floor and look to create a lane to drive. And that's where they can get into the body of the shot blockers underneath for Kansas.
Foul number 2 on Landon Lucas. So Moore to shoot. Again, he was 10 out of 12 against Santa Clara. The Tennessee co-captain says a big reason for yesterday's win, what he did at the foul line.
I think if you're Tennessee, you feel pretty good going to the break, trailing by 7, when Moore has struggled the way that he had in the first half.
He makes 1 of 2. 42-34 Kansas. Ellis gets in tight and gets a foul as well. He'll go to the line.
That's a great, strong finish underneath by Perry Ellis. In transition, target hand is up. I love the way he flattens underneath the block, and that's something they work on every single day at Kansas. You can talk to Bill Self about it before the game. You get underneath and you vacate the block. It can create space and better angles to finish.
4 on Carmichael, who has found it very difficult to stick with Perry Ellis. This is the largest lead now, up to 11. Biggest lead of the day for the Jayhawks. Richardson will set it up, the senior out of Edmond, Oklahoma. He had an 18-point game yesterday as well. It's a traveling violation on McGee.
I like the aggressiveness in the first half, but sometimes you can overcomplicate things, overthinking, and I think Jabari McGee just did that on that possession.
So do you sense early on here, opening minutes of the second half, a danger zone for Tennessee?
I do think the first 4 minutes in particular of this second half could be problematic for Tennessee.
Ellis with a miss. Lucas, big rebound.
Well, that's double dribble.
Yeah, it is indeed a double dribble, so they kick it back over to Tennessee.
Tennessee's got to move the ball offensively, create space, and look to drive and attack. And if the defense collapses to you, that's when you can find the shots out on the outside.
Tennessee 2-1 so far on the season. Their loss came to number 15 VCU. Kansas 3-1. Their loss came to Kentucky. Rolling in and out foul here against Kansas. That'll go against Lucas. That'll be his third.
That's the exact type of possession that I was alluding to that Tennessee needs. Pass the ball, cut, move without the ball, be active, don't be stagnant. Don't try to play through the block.
So it's Richardson to the line. Second team preseason All-SEC. He's been playing the point guard this year as a senior for the first time. After being a shooting guard throughout his career, made his debut, his college debut against VCU in their opener at 17 points in that game.
When you think about it, he's the only player returning to the SEC, the active career leaders that ranks in the top 10 in points, blocks, steals, assists. And he can fill up a stat sheet. And as I mentioned at the start of this game, he needs to be average tonight. Average means you get 18 points. He's a little ways away from that right now.
So Tennessee with a mini recovery there. Up top, it's Ellis. Lucas, oh, difficult grab. He went for the reverse and missed it. It's a very tough catch up around the iron. Richardson. Oh, what a beautiful shot going to his right. But on the run, here's Selden. The step, a foul, and he makes the shot. He'll go to the line. Kansas on a quick run out.
You take two, and we'll give it right back at the opposite end of the floor. The Jayhawks out in transition, and Woodson with a very, very soft foul going down the lane. If you're going to reach out, you better make sure that that ball is unable to get up to the rim. Nice job by Selden.
Woodson with the foul, a three-point play for Wayne Selden, the sophomore. Back up to 10. One thing you know about Kansas, they can be a quick strike offense. Of course, they didn't score much against Kentucky. That's a different matter. Only 40 points in that game. But they are getting better and better. And he's on the line. Tennessee will turn it over the 6th time. So punter with the turnover.
You can ill afford to have empty possessions when you're going against Kansas. And so important to the defense of Tennessee is their ability to score, because it allows them to extend out their press and then fall back comfortably into their zone. If you miss shots and you get the rebound and look to attack them, sometimes their zone's not set up. That's when you can attack and find breakdowns.
Ellis trying to double team, but he spins out of that. Great touch pass here. Alexander draws the foul. More of that excellent ball movement and unselfish play by Kansas.
You mentioned the Kentucky game, and after that game there were a lot of people talking, well, you know, the assist totals are so low and what's going on? Well, that was an aberration, folks. Look at the way that Kansas has played so far down here in Orlando. The unselfishness that we've seen. There could have been 2 different shots before Cliff Alexander actually got his hands on the ball.
A touch pass you saw by Wayne Selden to put Alexander to the line after the foul, but missing on the first one. Dave,
you told me during shoot-arounds that When you watch Kansas practice, your eyes drift to Cliff Alexander out on the floor. He demands that you pay attention to what he's doing out there, and I couldn't have agreed with you anymore.
I think he's going to be a very, very exciting player and an impact player right away. Big drive there by Richardson, though, and a fast answer for Tennessee. 10 for Richardson. Richardson, a senior, and he plays like, yes, they do. That's something we have not seen much of for Tennessee. Mason. Over the top. Alexander with a thunderous dunk. Boy, that is a name you're going to want to remember. If you're not a Kansas fan, but you're tuning in today, keep Cliff Alexander in mind. Richardson got denied in that lane. And they throw it back into the backcourt and a turnover.
Mental lapses. Trying to do a little bit too much and get it all back in one play. Cliff Alexander with the point and the finish.
I would think he would be rather difficult to let get that open, given his size, given his presence, but it's happened a number of times today. Once again, just for good measure, Mr. Alexander.
Hey, Tennessee, Cliff Alexander is playing the back line. You might want to pay attention. Party for Cliff Alexander. The last two possessions, all smiles for Kansas as we go inside the play and attack over the top of the zone. Derek Reese is at fault here as the ball is reversed around. You're on Cliff Alexander. Derek Reese is caught in no man's land, and look at this over the top. The spacing, the target hand is up, throw over the top. You've got two guys up on top. Derek Reese caught in no man's land on the second play. The exact same thing. The ball is reversed. Reese out of position. Alexander in the iron.
I'll give some credit, too, to Frank Mason III with a couple of terrific passes. But as you mentioned, 3 alley-oops for Alexander.
Yeah, and 2 on back-to-back possessions. And if you're Derek Reese, you've got to know that if there's somebody already guarding the wing up top, you need to slide down and protect the back line of the zone. 2 possessions in a row, you're nowhere to be found. And, oh, by the way, it's Cliff Alexander. If I was playing, I would know where Cliff Alexander is on the court.
I think they will now. Wearing number 2 in white. Punter airborne. That's a tough pass. Alexander there for the rejection. Well, he's doing it on both ends. Selden. And they're going to swat it away. It's going to be an offensive foul. That'll be a charge on Selden.
Well, Cliff Alexander making his presence felt as the Jayhawks open up their lead to 13. Slide over defensively and erase it.
Is watching a freshman who has come on the national stage for his very first games like Cliff Alexander has, and watching some of the skills, not all the skills, that brought him to a place like Kansas. He has 12 points, a career high, but we're seeing the tremendous presence down low. We're seeing the dunking ability, the shot blocking talent, and he is really putting on a show against Tennessee.
He just plays so hard. I mean, that's, you know, playing hard, by the way, has become a skill set at the college level. How hard do you compete every possession?
Reese with a 3. So he's had his defensive issues trying to deal with Alexander, but he knocks down a 3-pointer to cut it back to 10.
The think about this, Tennessee was 2 of 3 so far in this half. They've had some turnover issues in this half, but they haven't had many looks. Well, they've got good looks, but when they have, they've been effective.
That was intended for Alexander, batted away by Tennessee. Hunter wants to do it himself, and he lays it up off the iron. Over the shoulder pass, Selden. Here's Ellis trying to beat everyone to the ball. He's wrapped up in foul on the play. Well, let's see if that winds up a flagrant. Did not seem to be any effort to go for the ball on this foul.
Well, he swiped down, missed, and then grabbed from behind. I can understand why the Kansas fans were upset by it. I think the fact that he held on and tried to hold Perry Ellis up allows him to get away from it.
So Ellis to shoot 2. Kansas by 10. Kelly Oubre coming back on now for Kansas. Jayhawks fans rather incensed because Selden was called for a flagrant one earlier in the game. That went against Kansas. That was pretty evident. Ellis with 15 points now.
Picture of consistency every single night. Coach Self said before the start of the season, you want to pencil him in between 16 and 20 points a night. And so far, Perry Ellis delivering that here in Orlando.
Here's Richardson. He'll draw the foul. 14:40 to go. Tennessee still battling. That'll go against Frank Mason III. Number 1 on Frank, who had a very good game against Rhode Island yesterday. 12 points, 5 assists. The inbounds for Reese.
Tariq Owens checked into the game. The long 6'10" freshman shot blocker.
Richardson getting into the lane. Yes, and when he does get in the lane, he very often makes that shot.
I love him in the mid-range area. That's going to be a foul on Richardson on the hold. That's a good call. You can get frustrated, but that's the right call. And this is the right move offensively. A little stutter step, and then slices through the lane, gathers himself on balance, and finishes.
Now he's committed 3 fouls. 12 points so far. He had 18 against Santa Clara. Kansas looking to open up that lead a little bit more. Mason has 5 assists. That time maybe a little too unselfish by Oubre. Throws it away. 9 turnovers for Kansas. Well, the Iron Bowl is coming up like we needed to tell you. Saturday at 7:45, Auburn and Alabama, the number 1 ranked team in the country. And we'll have it for you. Will it live up to last year's Iron Bowl? Is that humanly possible?
I don't think it is possible, but I know the voice of Brent Musburger is going to be on the game and can't wait to give it a listen tomorrow night from here in Orlando.
Hubbs got it up there, but misfires. 7 rebounds for Ellis. Could wind up with a double-double today. We'll keep an eye on that. Mason trying to get between 2 defenders. Taken away. Maybe a little too aggressive offensively. And Hunter had to pick that one up. Long jumper here by Mostella as he hits a 3.
That's his 3rd three-pointer of the game. And a nice job on back-to-back possessions. Creating turnovers and opportunity. Frustrating on the first possession. Kelly Oubre rushed to pass, threw it out of bounds. Tennessee was able to capitalize, and every single time it feels like Kansas is about to pull away in this game, Tennessee has found a way to scratch its way back in. And usually it starts at the defensive end of the floor. A lot of times with a young team, your biggest concern is, does our offense bleed over into our defense? Does our effort level drop at that end of the floor? Tennessee has done a nice job now responding out of that timeout after giving back-to-back alley-oops over the top to Cliff Alexander.
And you know who's been a real heart and soul guy for them, who has kept that aggressiveness up, has been Kevin Punter, the 6'4" junior. This is an 8-1 run, by the way, in the last 2:11 for Tennessee. 13:20 left. Mostella with a big 3. He shined in his college debut against VCU with 17 points in 22 minutes. He can really fire it.
Well, with Richardson out, that's when you're going to rely a little bit more on Mostella and Punter. Donnie Tyndall telling his Tennessee fans, hey, why don't you get up and we need some noise right now.
Mason to bring it across now for Kansas. Alexander working hard on that block again. Here's Ellis, a floater. He fights for his own miss. Right back up. That won't drop. Boy, a lot of crashing in the glass here on both ends.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that will not show up in the box score tomorrow is Tariq Owens with any block shots on that in particular possession, but he altered all the shots around the rim with his length and athleticism, and it's a big reason why Kansas was unable to convert thus far on this possession.
Ian Woodson, the two tallest Jayhawks at 6'10". Mason to get it in. Battle for that. And the possession arrow will take it the other way.
Yeah, they called that a tie-up. I thought punter had stepped out of bounds when he got his hands on the ball.
54-48. Here's Mostella. Going to keep Graham on him. And a foul with 12:32 remaining. So that'll go against Graham. And Tennessee will inbound from the baseline. Selden about to check back in for Kansas.
We saw Tennessee yesterday erase a halftime deficit against Santa Clara, and Donnie Tyndall really felt like his defense wore down the Broncos in the second half. We'll see if they can have that same kind of success.
Catch and shoot. Mostella with another one. That's his fourth three-pointer in this game. A three-point game. Tipped away. Tennessee with the theft. Hubbs gives it up. Up and in for punter. Timeout, Kansas.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I've learned about Tennessee in this tournament. They will play hard and they will play for 40 minutes. Their defense will cause problems for opponents throughout the season, in particular in conference play. But their execution out of bounds underneath. Mostella for the second time today able to hit a three on an out of bounds underneath. And then it's defense leading the offense at the other end of the floor. And it's a one-point game, and Bill Self's calling a timeout to try to settle down the Jayhawks.
You know, talking with Coach Self before the game, he's talking about various players on Tennessee, and he said, that Dietrich Mostella, the freshman from Decatur, Alabama, he said, I really like his game, and he could really emerge into something special.
He was hoping it wasn't going to be today, and Mostella has done his part.
Well, since the back-to-back alley-oops, Kansas has turned it over 6 times, and they have not hit a shot from the field. So now it's the Jayhawks trying to regroup here, clinging to a 1-point lead at the 12-minute mark. This is a 13-1 run for Tennessee. Selden looking inside, and a foul. 11:54 to go. That'll go against Owens. And a timeout. Tennessee starting to light it up beyond the 3-point line. And Kansas turnover prone in the last couple of minutes. And this is turning into a dandy in Orlando.
Castle at the Magic Kingdom. In fact, for most Tennessee fans, they might have thought it was Fantasyland to believe that they could respond from a 13-point deficit after back-to-back alley-oops by Cliff Alexander. But since that point in time, it's been a 13-1 run. And how about this number? In the second half, the Volunteers are shooting 70% from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from beyond the arc.
They have caught fire. Impressive to respond from that 13-point deficit the way the Volunteers have. And nipping at the heels of the Jayhawks here in this semifinal. Our first semifinal of the day here at the Orlando Classic. Later on tonight, it'll be Michigan State Marquette. Mason on the drive, and a foul with 11:39 left. That'll go against Mostella, his second, and it'll be Mason to shoot 1-1. 7th team foul against Tennessee. Mason, an excellent foul shooter, but misses on the first. So now Tennessee, on this possession, can take the lead.
Remember, they've done this with Richardson on the bench as well.
Been a long time since they were out in front. That's going to be a foul, an offensive foul.
And Mostella made the three. I know it doesn't count, but he is in such a rhythm and such a flow right now.
Foul in against Tariq Owens. His second. Kansas up 54-53. Shovel pass in the lane. Trailer back out for Mason. He sticks in a three-pointer.
He has had some timely three-pointers over the last 2 days.
First field goal by Kansas in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Reese trying to answer, can't do it. Mason there for the rebound, the smallest man on the floor. Brandon Green, another good shooter on that wing for Bill Self. Ellis finds Green. He'll fire it up. Selden with the rebound. Right back in the air. Big rebound by Reese, and he cradles it.
Nice job by Reese to come back in and corral that rebound.
Will they look for Mostella again? He's on the opposite side.
I'd go back to the play where you got the illegal screen called and try to get him a look.
There's Mostella. Not this time, and a whistle. Foul on the floor. That's going to go against Kansas. That'll go against Perry Ellis, his second.
Now, if I'm Bill Self, the one thing I'm reminding my team is twice already on out of bounds underneath. Mostella's been able to hit the three. Now he's actually going to the bench. Richardson checks back in. So, as well as Armani Moore, I'd look for Punter to come off the screen this time and try to get a shot from beyond the arc.
In for Woodson. Banging on Trailer. Backing down. He's underneath the iron. He got the shot in anyway. On the reverse.
A little chicken wing, a little meat hook the day after Thanksgiving. Some leftovers maybe on the turkey leg. Be able to get around and finish that one on the opposite side of the iron.
There is no quit in Tennessee. They just keep on coming. They want to spring this upset. Mason off to Green. The winner to play in the championship game of the Orlando Classic tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Should say Sunday at 1 o'clock. Ellis out of the double team. Selden, difficult pass. Here's Green. Got it! A three-pointer. Kansas with a couple of giant triples here.
And that's one of those possessions that kind of breaks your back a little bit. You defend so well for so long and then give it up.
Moore looking for help now. Gave up the dribble. Here's Woodson again. The big fella jumps in strong for two. What a great move with the left hand.
I like how he went to the middle on that one. He's gone baseline almost every single time he's gotten the ball.
60-57. Tennessee right there with 8.5 to play. Ellis turns, spins. Yes.
And that's the speed and agility that starts with your base for Perry Ellis. Too fast for Woodson to react.
He has 17. 62-57 Kansas. And a whistle away from the basketball here. And a foul will go against Frank Mason of Kansas. The point guard will pick up his second.
Last two possessions, they have played through Woodson. Watch, this is the one he goes baseline, extends out the elbow ever so slightly as he turns, creates a little space, able to finish it. And the next time, instead of going baseline, where the anticipation is, he goes middle, able to finish strong. Tennessee does not have a roster full of guys that can score with their back to the basket. Woodson is the one guy that can match a girth for girth.
1-and-1 here for Josh Richardson. Brandon Green inadvertently backed into the shooter Richardson and knocked him off the foul line.
And the officials just told him, don't do that again.
Did not appear to be intentional. 13 for Richardson. Around and out on the second.
Now missed free throws. That's going to sting at the end of this game if Tennessee doesn't get a victory and the upset, because they've missed far too many, leaving points on the board in a tight game.
It's 10 of 18. You're right. They missed 8. Bobble up in the corner. Traylor trying to get out of the double team. And getting a timeout here. Timeout, Kansas. With 7:45 to go. Tennessee with some great pressure defense. So down the stretch we come in the first semifinal. Second semifinal coming up later on tonight. That's at 9 o'clock. Michigan State and Marquette. And a championship game coming up on Sunday. That time is to be determined, either 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
Well, for Marquette to pull off what would be an upset against Michigan State, they need this guy, Matt Carlino, to get going. And boy, was he on fire all night long from beyond the arc. 8 made three-point shots, 38 points overall for Marquette, who at times has really struggled to score the basketball this season. Seth Greenberg was at home with his family, his daughters, celebrating, screaming Matty basketball all around his house as he finished with 38, a single game high as well as a career high for Matt Carlino.
And a tournament record here in Orlando to boot. Mason. Traylor mishandled the pass. The bounce feed on the baseline. Out in front, Richardson. He connects. So Tennessee makes it pay, and it's a 2-point game.
Points off of turnovers, 22 now in the game for Tennessee.
Ellis. Traylor wants it, went for the stop, and a foul. It's an offensive foul. A charge on Kansas. Tennessee with the basketball.
The energy level is high. Tennessee's playing concentrated defense. They're creating offense off of it, and we've got a 2-point game.
College basketball is brought to you by Sonic's new boneless chicken wings.
Championship look at Kansas. They're used to winning titles, but will they get into the championship game on Sunday here in Orlando? They have a real battle on their hands, and the biggest battle right now they have, Sean Farnham, is holding on to the basketball against the outstanding Tennessee pressure. They've turned it over 14 times in the game, 9 since halftime.
And that charge right there by Armani Moore should be noted. That's one of the things that he does better than anybody on this volunteer roster. In fact, he's the career leader on this roster as far as charges taken, stood in the lane, absorbed the contact. Now they've got to try to capitalize. A 3-point basket would give them the lead.
Here's Kevin Punter, who has really been a driving force behind the comeback. They were 13 down, Tennessee was. Off for Moore. Here's Richardson. Shot clock at 15. He'll fire. McGee with a tough rebound. Back out. They will swing it up high. Here's Moore on the drive to the left hand, and a foul.
That's one you really want to convert if you're Tennessee. He did a nice job trying to go to his left to finish it, and then he just missed it.
Brandon Green with the personal, his third.
Moore has struggled here at the free throw line today after what we saw yesterday, 10 of 12 from the free throw line, but entered the tournament at just 30% at the free throw line.
Very smooth on that first one, but it's been a low-scoring game for Moore after piling up 18 against Santa Clara. His second one is on target. So once again, locked up 62-62, tight as we come down the stretch. Selden looking in. Mason to the baseline. draws that contact, and he'll be at the line.
A good possession that time and a good decision by Mason to turn the corner and aggressively attack.
So it'll be 3 on Woodson. And Mason to shoot, one of the best foul shooters for Kansas. 2 shots for the point guard from Petersburg, Virginia.
Mason has that attack-minded guard who loves to create off the bounce, and you saw it on that possession.
Well, look at the rebounds. 5 rebounds for Frank, who is listed at 5'11".
And also let that go with 5 assists. And he has done a nice job. Some of those turnovers, though, he's got 3 of them.
Now trying to put Kansas back in front here with 6.5 left. Woodson heading for the bench to chat with his coach. And number 2 for Mason. Kansas by 1.
A lot of talking going on between McGee and Alexander right now. It's still continuing along the baseline.
Moore swatted away by Alexander. He says no, sir.
Good job rotating over from the help side position, guarding that low block and reacting as the drive came down. He erased it.
Emphatically. 19 to shoot here for Tennessee. Richardson now calls out a play as we approach 6 minutes to go in Orlando. The fall away. That's on the top of that backboard. It'll go the other way.
Oh, that's a loose ball. A tie up underneath, going for the offensive rebound. It goes against McGee, but that was a low percentage shot.
That's 4 on McGee, by the way. His 4th personal.
And it means free throws at this end of the floor. I would say, though, Richardson's shot probably not the best in that situation. A fadeaway jump shot over Cliff Alexander.
So it's Selden to shoot. Off target on the first one. Kansas missing a couple of foul shots that would give him some wiggle room. Tennessee's had their issues at the line in this one as well. Tennessee has made just 12 out of 21. 2-point lead for the Jayhawks. Here's Richardson, a senior who can be a lot to handle one-on-one. Hunter doubled up, stolen away. Mason with the steal. Blocked, but a follow. Alexander's up and in, and a foul. Boy, he made an impact in this one.
As it was for Tennessee, it is for Kansas on this possession. So much of the offense predicated upon the ability to create opportunities at the defensive end of the floor, turning turnovers into points. You don't have to go against the setup zone defense. Guys are scrambling, get on the glass. Cliff Alexander able to finish.
Fouled by Armani Moore. Alexander with a 3-point play. Ellis has a double-double, by the way. And Kansas opens up a 5-point lead. This will be a timeout, Tennessee. 5:29 to go. And time again today, you have sensed that Kansas might be about to kind of run away and hide, and Tennessee has absolutely refused to allow them to do that.
It's been a great basketball game. The level of competition we've seen from both of these teams. Kansas, as you just saw, creating the opportunity with their turnover of Tennessee. Tennessee, so much of their offense has come from turnovers. I think the biggest key right now for Tennessee is to not allow this to balloon back up to 10. Now, you've got enough time where you can come back even if it was to get to 10. But I'm telling you right now, they cannot afford to have that happen. They have to have a good possession down here at this point in time. And I think they've got to space the floor and look to create off the bounce and get to the rim. At the very least, you want to earn a trip to the free throw line.
67-62. Well, it's been, I think, the best game so far of the Orlando Classic. And falling in the semifinal. Kansas trying to shake off Tennessee. And a game that certainly bodes well for the Volunteers moving forward. They're trying to win it. They're trying to spring the upset. That's the only thing they have on their heads right now. Stolen away. Here's Selden. Oh, went for the stuff and draws the foul. Wayne Selden to shoot. After the turnover forced by Kansas.
Instead of a good possession, you got a turnover.
And the fourth foul on Moore. Selden for 2. Selden had been scuffling shooting all the way around coming into this tournament. He had been just 6 for 24 overall from the field. He was just giving Kansas a 68-62 lead. Another foul shot on the way. The sophomore makes them both. So now some room to maneuver for Kansas. Tennessee's answered all day. Will they do it again? Punter on Mason. Been fun to watch today. The jumper. He got it.
Ends a 7-0 run by the Kansas Jayhawks.
Hunter with 14. He shot it very well. 69-64 Kansas. Jayhawks taking their time on this possession. Ellis has a double-double working. Great give for Alexander, but they're going to wave off the basket. And the foul here against the Kansas Jayhawks.
And Mostella is just checked back into the game. And as he was going to this, before he got up off the bench, I was asking how many fouls does he have? Because I'm looking at our box score thinking 2. But he's been a great weapon for Tennessee from the outside. And they could use his ability to stretch the floor right now.
You got Ellis for an offensive foul there. And Mostella back on the floor wearing number 15. He's 4 for 6 from 3. He likes to do this, the catch and shoot. Not on that possession. 4 minutes to go. What has been a vastly entertaining game.
Very patient approach right now for Kansas in this possession. Everything's very calm offensively for him.
Ellis turns again. Shot clock to 14. Shot clock down to 9. Mason. Yes. Well, he's a very confident floor general.
And you see how unbalanced he was. You never had a sense that he was panicking. It doesn't matter what the shot clock was at. He was going to get a good look on that possession.
It's been an up and down career for him so far at Kansas, but he's been real solid in this tournament. Long one. Off target there by Reese. Loose ball on the baseline and knocked off of Tennessee. That was off of Hubbs and out of bounds.
A 9-2 run since Tennessee tied it at 62. And Frank Mason showing the ability to be patient, pick his spot, and make it count.
Steve, thank you so much. 3:14 to play here, and now Kansas has opened up a 71-64 lead. Tennessee with 17 points off turnovers. Richardson has 15. Big rebounding edge for Kansas. We expected that. Alexander with an outstanding performance, 15 points for him.
And actually 24 points off of turnovers for Tennessee in this game. 17 off of turnovers for Kansas. Those 17, a couple of them coming on the last few possessions.
So Green up top for Mason. Right at the 3-minute mark.
Amazing stat when you think about the ability to score inside. It's only +2 for Kansas at the rim.
Ellis, and he draws a foul as well.
Make it +4. His mom is happy. Standing up and cheering. Already a double-double. Good action. Defense slow and reacting. McGee picks up his 5th personal foul. And all the energy and all the spark and toughness that he played with in the first half, he'll have to go take a seat.
So out he comes, fouling out with 6 points. And Ellis for a 3-point play and looking for a 20-point day. And it's back to 10 for Kansas.
Exactly what I said could not happen for Tennessee. Now you got 3 minutes. Is that enough time to erase a 10-point deficit? Yes, it is, but it is a mighty mountain to have to climb back up once again.
Reese with the kick into the corner. Hubbs on the drive. Off the window. That was very nicely done.
Try to create turnovers and get Kansas to play out of its comfort zone.
Richardson on Mason. They try and double him.
Mason just cool, calm, and collected right now.
To shoot. It's Ellis again. That nifty spin blocked on the play. Carmichael. 7 on the shot clock.
Willie Carmichael limited because of foul trouble. Only 8 minutes this afternoon. Now with McGee being out, though, Carmichael has to be a guy underneath that could defensively maintain his position and protect the rim.
Mason quickly in. Selden. Ellis. Shot clock down to 3. Now 2. Mason harassed. Never touched anything. A shot clock violation as it goes back over to Tennessee. Bill Self not a happy camper at the moment. 2:04 to go.
We thought there was contact there, but really what there was poor recognition by Kansas, not having a great awareness of how much time was actually left on the shot clock.
Under 2 minutes left here in Orlando. Reese way downtown and well short. Ellis with another rebound and a foul by Tennessee. Stops the clock at 1:50 to go. That'll be on Richardson, and for him that's number 4. On ESPN News right now, Butler and Georgetown are getting underway, and that game will come to you on ESPN as soon as we're finished up here in Orlando. So Ellis with 2 shots.
What an afternoon for Ellis. 21 points, 11 rebounds, the consistency from the field. He has been active at both ends.
And at the line where he's 9 of 10.
A bright spot for Kansas at the free throw line today.
So a 10-point lead again. Timeout, Donnie Tyndall. Perry Ellis leading the charge for Kansas.
I'll tell you this. Right now it looks like the momentum is back on the side of Kansas. And they're going to have some things that they're going to talk about that they have to improve, but it's going to be a good, hard-fought victory, right? If this score holds true over the next 146, Donnie Tyndall still has a lot to be happy about with his team. The way they have competed this afternoon, I think really bodes well for them moving forward, because if you can compete at this level against the Jayhawks, why can't you maintain this kind of level of attention to detail throughout the remainder of your season in the SEC, where there can be wins to be had?
Okay, the journey to the tourney continues. Atlantis championship game is coming up today at 4 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. That's Oklahoma against the number 2 team in the land, the Wisconsin Badgers, who made a great comeback yesterday against Georgetown to get into the championship.
Frank Kaminsky, not his best outing yesterday. I expect him to come out and play extremely well in a championship format today down in Atlantis.
So the last minute 46 here of this semifinal. Stella got airborne. Richardson fires. That barely nicked the iron. Stella driving by Green. Left it in the air. Taken away by the Jayhawks. They have all the momentum on their side now as they try and seal this one against Tennessee.
No need to force anything at the offensive end of the floor. A 10-point lead, under 2 minutes left to go. You can feel really comfortable passing around the perimeter. You got to be careful that you don't get lazy and create a turnover opportunity.
Mason on Mostelos had some impressive moments. Here's Green's jumper. Alexander went for the rebound. A foul on the floor against Tennessee. They'll get Carmichael. That'll be his 5th, so he is fouled out. All day long, Tennessee has struggled to contain Kansas #2, Cliff Alexander.
There's going to be a lot of teams in this college basketball season that will struggle controlling and containing Cliff Alexander. You look at Alexander, so many great accolades coming out of high school. He was a dominating presence in the class of 2014. I mean, really, maybe the most physically dominating player that was available as far as to the collegiate level, and overpowered his opponents on most nights, and he's done it this afternoon. I mean, he has put himself in a great situation to find a high level of success.
Now, granted, he's a freshman. His career's just started, but that's a career high 15 points so far today. Butler and Georgetown coming up next. What a feast for college basketball fans as Alexander makes the first.
Talk about Perry Ellis. Cliff Alexander now 6 of 8 from the free throw line. The efficiency in which he plays with is really impressive for a freshman. It's not only at the free throw line, but also from the field where he's 5 of 6.
Tennessee comes away up ahead from Ostella. Wants to drive it. An errant shot. Comes with the rebound. No. Ellis has it batted away out of his hands. Another foul against Tennessee with 52 seconds to go. And an 11-point lead for Kansas. So certainly looking like the Jayhawks are going to play their way into Sunday's final. But still 52 seconds to go. And at 9 o'clock tonight, we certainly hope you'll join us here from Orlando and ESPN's Wide World of Sports for Marquette against Michigan State. That's our second semifinal. Ellis continues to add on. He's had a marvelous day. Give him 24 points and 11 rebounds. This is the largest lead all day for Kansas. And if you're just tuning in, the foul again with 41.5 to go. This game, the bulk of it anyway, was far, far closer than that. It wasn't that long ago we were tied at 62.
And over the last 6.5 minutes, it's been a 17-4 run for the Kansas Jayhawks to balloon out this lead. They have executed and they settled themselves down. It was turnovers that allowed Tennessee to get back into this game and create the tie at 62. And it was the cool, calm, and the ability to execute that allowed Kansas to respond and pull away.
Josh Richardson at the line. He has 15 points today, 6 out of 13 shooting. He makes 1 of 2. Tennessee with a strong effort for the bulk of the day. But in the end, Kansas proves too much. And they are going to play on to the championship game of the Orlando Classic on Sunday. And we're being told now that time has been determined. 1 o'clock on ESPN for the title game on Sunday.
The opportunity to be crowned a champion in a non-conference event like this during Feast Week.
Three-pointer there for Sheldon, by the way.
That's the exclamation point for Kansas. A well-played game for both teams. Costello had his high points from the outside, but Perry Ellis too much, Cliff Alexander too much. The interior presence of the Jayhawks wore him down as this game went on.
24 points, 12 rebounds for Ellis. Perry Ellis certainly to start today. But certainly Cliff Alexander has shown up on the national stage in a big, big way.
This Kansas team impressed me more than anything today. Their ability to respond from adversity. The momentum had shifted in the second half after getting their lead and everything was going right. This young Kansas Jayhawks team relaxed for a second and allowed Tennessee to get back into it. They responded, and now they move on to Sunday's championship.
They'll get the winner of Michigan State and Marquette. That game is tonight at 9. Feast Week presented by Lowe's. The battle for Atlantis continues. It's Butler and Georgetown, the third place game. Thanks so much for joining us from Orlando. Rejoin us a little later for the second semifinal at 9 as we send it out to Atlantis. Dan